Hey guys, good to have you back again. We're going to be reading chapter 19. Yeah, chapter 19 today. So, when we were last together, we read chapter 18 where Opal had shared with Gloria Dump and her dad the litmus lozenge, and they both could taste the sorrow in it. They said, typically adults have had their share of sorrow. Sometimes kids have had their share of sorrow. It's sad to think about things that cause us sorrow, but I bet most of you could think of something that's happened in your life that's caused you some pain or just wanting to shed some tears. For some of you, it's probably a little bit more intense than others, but unfortunately, we all have our share of sadness, but that helps us appreciate the happy times even more, I think. So, Opal also learned in this chapter of why Amanda Wilkinson is so pinch-faced. Very sadly, she learned that her little 5-year-old brother had drowned and died. And so Amanda, the preacher said Amanda and her mom and dad were still suffering quite a bit, of course, because of what a terrible loss that was. All right, so we're going to read chapter 19. Chapter 19 is actually kind of a short chapter, but I think we're going to venture to the pet store today. All right, so chapter 19, everybody's good and ready to go today. Ate a nice little breakfast, drank a good glass of water to get your body moving and ready to go. Chapter 19 is on page 128, Because of Winn Dixie by Kate D. Camillo. What a fabulous author she is. In the morning, me and Winn Dixie went down to sweep the pet store, and I took a litmus lozenge for Otis. Is it Halloween? Otis asked when I handed him the candy. No, I said. Why? Well, you're giving me candy. It's just a gift, I told him, for today. Oh, said Otis. He unwrapped the litmus lozenge and put it in his mouth, and after a minute, tears started rolling down his face. Thank you, he said. Do you like it? I asked him. He nodded his head. It tastes good, but it also tastes a little bit like being in jail. Gertrude! Gertrude squawked. She picked up the litmus lozenge wrapper in her beak and then dropped it and looked around. Gertrude! She screamed again. Now remember, Gertrude is the parrot that flies around the pet shop. You can't have any, I told her. It's not for birds. Then real quick, before I lost my nerve, I said, Otis, what were you in jail for? Are you a murderer? No, ma'am, he said. Are you a burglar? No, ma'am, Otis said again. He sucked on his candy and stared down at his pointy-toed boots. You don't have to tell me, I said. I was just wondering. I ain't a dangerous man, Otis said, if that's what you're thinking. I'm lonely, but I ain't dangerous. Okay, I said, and I went into the back room to get my broom. When I came back out, Otis was standing where I left him, still staring down at his feet. It was on account of the music, he said. What was? I asked. Why I went to jail. It was on account of the music. What happened? I wouldn't stop playing my guitar. Used to be I played it on the street, and sometimes people would give me money. I didn't do it for the money. I did it because the music is better if someone is listening to it. Anyway, the police came, and they told me to stop it. They said how I was breaking the law, and the whole time they were talking to me, I went right on playing my music. And that made them mad. They tried to put handcuffs on me, he sighed. I didn't like that. I wouldn't have been able to play my guitar with them things on. And then what happened? I asked him. I hit them, he whispered. You hit the police? Uh-huh, one of them. I knocked him out. Then I went to jail, and they locked me up and wouldn't let me have my guitar. And when they finally let me out, they made me promise I wouldn't never play my guitar on the street again. He looked up at me real quick and then back down at his boots. And I don't. I only play it in here for the animals. Gertrude, the human Gertrude, she owns this shop, and she gave me this job when she read about me in the paper. And she said, it's all right for me to play music for the animals. You play your music for me and Winn Dixie and Sweetie Pie, I said. Yeah, he agreed, but you ain't on the street. Thank you for telling me about it, Otis, I said. It's all right, he said. I don't mind. Sweetie Pie came in and I gave her a litmus lozenge and she spit it right out. She said that it tasted bad. She said it tasted like not having a dog, because that's the only real sadness that Sweetie Pie's had, is that she wants a dog and she doesn't have one. So she's like, that tastes bad. I swept the floor real slow that day. I wanted to keep Otis company. I didn't want him to be lonely. Sometimes it seemed like everybody in the world was lonely. Thought about my mama. Thinking about her was the same as the hole you keep on feeling with your tongue after you lose a tooth. Time after time, my mind kept going to that empty spot, the spot where I felt like she should be. It's kind of like a little place in her heart. It's just an empty place in her heart where Opal feels like her mama should be and she's not there. And that's, her main sadness. So Otis told her in this chapter, Otis said, I was in jail because I played my guitar on the street, and when the police told me to stop, that I was breaking the law, he wouldn't stop playing. And he said he didn't do it for the money. He did it because he liked to play for people. He liked seeing the joy in people's faces when he played the guitar, that they seemed to like his guitar playing. And when he wouldn't stop, they tried to put handcuffs on him, and he hit the police, which is a no-no. He, of course, should not have hit the police, and that's what landed him in jail. And when Gertrude is the name of the parrot, but she's also the name of the person that owns the pet store. So when the human Gertrude found out about Otis's story, she offered him a job and said that he could play there. And remember when Opal had come in a few chapters ago and he was playing his guitar for the animals, and they all were just out of their cages sitting around mesmerized by his guitar playing. He really must be pretty good, and neat that the animals would sit still to listen to the guitar. So that's pretty cool. So, okay, you're going to write your chapter summary for chapter 19, just a couple sentences there. It was a short chapter, but I feel like they accomplished quite a bit in it, actually. Told us a lot we needed to know about Otis for sure. And when we meet together tomorrow on Friday, we'll be reading chapter 20. Okay? Y'all have a fabulous day. Be sweet, be good. I'll see you later.